Welcome to the deep dive. We love plunging into those fascinating topics, uncovering those hidden gems, places where, well, geology, color, and even legend kind of weave together to create something really extraordinary. And today we're setting our sights on just a breathtaking spot in Iceland, Kerið Crater. This is volcanic caldera, visually just stunning, really commands your attention the moment you see it. It's located conveniently in the Grimsnes area, South Iceland, right along the famous Golden Circle route, actually. So yeah, super accessible, which is a big plus, makes it a magnet for anyone wanting to see Iceland's natural wonders up close. So our mission today for this deep dive, we want to pull out the really key bits of knowledge, the insights about Kerið. We'll look at how it formed, which is pretty unique geologically and its amazing colors. And then we'll touch on the local folklore too, which gives it this sort of mystical vibe. Think of this as your shortcut to really getting Kerið. We've got some surprising facts and cool stories lined up for you. Okay, so let's unpack this. When we think about craters, often we imagine these huge, violent explosions, right? Fire, ash, the whole drama. But Kerið, well, it has a really different backstory, doesn't it? How did this one actually come about?
Yeah, it's fascinating because you're right. Most people picture a big bang. But Kerið, it wasn't formed by an explosive eruption at all. That really sets it apart. Yeah. Instead, it was a process of collapse. Almost. Quiet, geologically speaking. What happened is you had this cone volcano maybe around 6,500 years ago, and its magma chamber, deep down, basically just emptied out. With nothing holding it up, the ground above, well, it just caved in, creating this bowl shape. That's what geologists call a caldera, so less of an outward blast and more like an inward slump.
An inward slump, not a huge volcanic blast, but a giant geological sigh almost. Wow, that's almost more dramatic in its own way. And a caldera, just to be clear, that's different from a regular crater. How?
Right, good question. So instead of rock being blasted out to form a crater, a caldera forms when the top of the volcano, or the land right around it, sinks down into that empty space left by the magma. Kerid's caldera is about 55 meters deep. That's roughly, an 18-story building.
Okay, yeah.
And it's about 170 meters wide, maybe 270 meters across at its widest. So it's a significant hole in the ground, yeah. But karst by gravity pulling it down, not an explosion pushing out. And understand that collapse is really key to why it looks the way it does.
That makes sense. A totally different process. And you mentioned 6,500 years ago. That's actually really young for geology, right? For a crater.
Incredibly young, yeah. And its youth is absolutely crucial to how it looks today. Think about it. Older craters get worn down over millennia. Wind, rain, ice. They smooth the edges, dull the colors. But Kerið is so young, geologically speaking, that it still has these remarkably sharp features. The rock looks fresh. And importantly, those amazing mineral colors haven't really been washed away or covered up yet. Like looking at a relatively fresh painting.
Okay, so the geology itself is cool, but it also created this incredible visual scene. Because Kerið is it's a feast for the eyes, a real masterpiece of color, contrasts. Those walls, the rusty reds, the ochres, what gives them that incredibly striking color?
Yeah, that color palette is just iconic for Kerið. It comes down to oxidized iron in the volcanic rock. Like rust, but, well, on a huge geological canvas. When the lava cooled, it was rich in iron. Over time, exposure to air and water oxidized that iron. And because it's so young, those colors are still incredibly vivid. Deep reds, warm oranges, earthy ochres. Yeah. It really pops, especially in the right light.
It really does sound like nature just went wild with the paint. And then right down at the bottom, you've got that lake, that amazing aquamarine blue. It almost looks like it's glowing sometimes. The contrast with the red walls is just stunning. What's going on with the watercolor?
It is a stunning contrast, isn't it? And the lake's color isn't just pretty. It's directly because of dissolved minerals leaching from the soil. Things like silica, other volcanic minerals. They get into the water. And when sunlight hits it, these minerals scatter the light, emphasizing the blue-green part of the spectrum. That's what gives it that distinct, almost neon quality on a sunny day.
Ah, okay. Science making beauty.
Exactly. The lake itself isn't super deep, by the way. Maybe 7 to 14 meters, something like that. It can change a bit, depending on groundwater levels, time of year. But yeah, it's that combination, the iron-rich red walls, the mineral-rich blue-green water that makes Kerið so unique. Instantly recognizable. It's geology and chemistry working together perfectly.
Okay, so we've got the geology, the amazing visuals, but like a lot of these really powerful natural places, Kerid's story doesn't stop there. It seems to be wrapped up in local legends too, right? Some folklore.
Oh, definitely. And those stories, they add this whole other layer, a layer of enchantment, of cultural connection. It really shows how people over generations have tried to understand or maybe just relate to this striking landmark. It becomes more than just rock and water. So one of the well-known tales, it's about a wealthy farmer from way back. Legend says he hid his treasure somewhere in the crater, maybe in a crack in the rock, or maybe even sunk it in the lake.
Hidden treasure. Seriously.
Yeah. And the story goes, the secret of where exactly it was hidden, he only told his daughter. So it adds this little bit of family mystery, this idea that maybe, just maybe, it's still down there somewhere.
It makes you want to look a bit closer when you visit. Okay, treasure. Any other tales? Something a bit more mystical, maybe?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
A bit more spooky, perhaps. There's the legend of a water kelpie. In Icelandic, it's called a nykur.
A water kelpie, like a water horse monster?
Pretty much, yeah. Icelandic folklore often pictures the nykur as a horse-like creature, maybe gray or dappled, sometimes beautiful but dangerous. They're said to lure people towards the water, maybe with a sad sound or by disguising themselves. And the story connected to Kerið is that this nykur travels through hidden tunnels underground, linking Kerið Lake with the water in the nearby Kerið Crater, like a secret monster highway.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, so the legend is basically a warning. Be careful near the water's edge. The nykur might try to pull you in.
Whoa.
Gives you pause when you're looking down into that blue water.
Definitely keeps you on the path. These stories, though, they're not just throwaway tales, are they? They feel like they tap into something deeper about how people experience these places.
Absolutely. They reflect that human need to explain the world, to give meaning to powerful, sometimes intimidating natural features. The sense of awe, maybe a bit of fear. Folklore gives voice to that. The nykur legend, I mean, that's a classic theme you find all over the world, the danger hidden in beautiful waters. In a place like Iceland, where the land itself feels so alive, so active geologically, it's almost natural that people would weave these kinds of rich stories around a site like Kerið. It deepens its meaning.
It really does. Okay, so we've got the science, the visuals, the myths. Let's get practical. For anyone listening who's thinking, wow, I want to see this, what's the experience like? You mentioned it's accessible, right? Part of the Golden Circle.
Extremely accessible. That's one of the great things about Kerið. It's right off Route 35, easy drive.
Yeah.
There's good parking right there. And once you park, there's a well-maintained path. You can walk all the way around the rim, get those amazing panoramic views.
Nice.
And if you're up for it, there's also a slope, usually covered in moss, that lets you walk down closer to the lake itself, get a different perspective from below.
Oh, cool. Getting down near the water level must be quite something.
It really is. You appreciate the scale differently, and the colors feel even more intense up close. Now, practically speaking, there is a small entrance fee, usually around 600 Icelandic krona.
Okay.
And it's worth knowing that Kerið is actually privately owned. So that fee goes directly into maintaining the site, keeping the paths safe, protecting the environment. It's kind of an interesting model, different from a national park. The owners have a direct stake in its preservation, funded by visitors.
That's good to know, actually. Your fee is directly helping care for the place you're enjoying. What about opening times? When's best to go?
Generally, it's open during daylight hours all year round, which in Iceland means really long hours in summer, almost 24-hour daylight.
Right, the midnight sun.
Exactly. Winter hours are shorter,
Yeah.
obviously, tied to the limited daylight. Now, for the best experience, especially for photos, people really recommend visiting when it's sunny, and specifically, if you can catch the golden hour in summer, that low, warm sunlight apparently makes the reds of the walls and the blue of the lake just incredibly vibrant.
Ah, the photographer's dream. Good tip. So golden hour, if possible. Any other advice for visiting responsibly? Making sure we treat this special place right.
Yeah, that's super important. How do we visit these places without harming them? Key things would be stick to the marked paths. That volcanic rock and the moss covering it can be quite fragile. Staying on the trail protects it.
Makes sense.
Paying the entrance fee obviously supports conservation. And maybe the biggest thing, just take your time. Don't just rush in, snap a photo and leave. Really soak it in, absorb the colors, the quiet, assuming you don't have a huge tour bus there.
Oh, yeah.
But just savor the beauty, the unique geology. It's about appreciating it consciously and, of course, leaving no trace behind.
Great advice. What a place. So just to recap our deep dive here. Kerið Crater. It's got this incredibly unique origin story, a collapse, not an explosion. Makes it geologically young, which leads to those stunning visuals. The rusty, iron-rich red walls, contrasting sharply with that almost impossibly blue aquamarine lake. And then layered on top, you have the folklore. hidden treasure, mysterious water kelpies, adding that touch of magic and history. It really hacks a lot into what's actually a pretty quick and easy stop on the Golden Circle. An unforgettable snapshot of Iceland.
It really is. And for you, the listener, maybe think about how Kerry shows that incredible natural beauty isn't always about the big, loud, explosive events. Sometimes it's in the quiet collapse, in the slow artistry of minerals painting the rock, and in our own human need to tell stories about these powerful landscapes. Kerry is like, it's a geological lesson, an art gallery, and a storybook, all rolled into one depression in the ground. It just reminds you there's always more to discover about how our world was formed and how we connect with it.
Absolutely. A perfect final thought. Maybe as you go about your day, think about other places you know where science and legend kind of meet like that, where the geology is amazing, but the human stories make it even richer. And it underscores how vital it is to protect these unique spots, right? For their science, their beauty, and the stories they hold for future generations. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Kerið Crater.